Yes, sir. Welcome, everybody. It's me, Malachi, aka Malioku, whatever you want to call me. Honestly, it doesn't even matter what you call me at this point. So, today, this is my first podcast. I don't know what I'm doing, honestly, but I was going to do it live, but, we're not doing live this time. But maybe in the future, we'll start doing live podcasts. Let me know down below if you guys want me to do live podcasts. Like, I'll go on Instagram live, and you guys could communicate with me while I'm recording my podcast. But today is our first podcast, and obviously, podcast, you talk about certain things, and this, that, and the third. So, this being my first podcast, I just really want to go forward and say, thank you guys for tuning in. First of all, I know sometimes people are not really into podcasts nowadays because everybody's attention span is a little bit shorter nowadays, especially, due to apps like, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. You're scrolling. So you're literally just looking at things for a couple seconds and you don't really digest it as much as, watching a full-on movie or like a podcast or like a live stream or something like that, because, you're just used to just seeing things for a couple seconds. Instagram is like the max you can watch something for. I mean, they've elongated it with the IGTV thing now. You guys get my point. The longest thing that people usually watch are like Netflix shows and series or like movies on Hulu and stuff like that. Other than that, people aren't really going to sit and watch a podcast for an hour, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, unless they have an extreme interest or the person's like some known person. I mean, unless you're down to learn about certain things, like if you're into learning about other people. Sorry for the noise in the background, that's my heater. I'm about to turn it off actually. But there's a couple people out there that are actually into learning about other people and what they think about certain topics. So I'm not sure if you guys know what gatekeeping is. So we're gonna look up the actual definition of gatekeeping. So the definition of gatekeeping is the activity of controlling and usually limiting general access to something. A function or system that controls access over operations to files, computer networks, or the like. So a gatekeeper is pretty much someone that's cock-blocking you from a certain topic and or group, or like, for example, there's people that gatekeep anime. Like, they say, oh, you don't watch anime, but on the same hand, they'll say, oh, you only want to watch anime because this person likes anime. Or, they'll make you feel, it's kind of like making someone feel bad for wanting to get into something. I've noticed that's like a big thing nowadays. And there's people that come to me about, like, recently there was an anime that just came out about skateboarding, and I haven't even gotten into it yet. And someone came up to me and told me pretty much that like the skateboarding community is like gatekeeping an anime about skateboarding. I'm like, bro, wouldn't you want skateboarding to advance more? Because skateboarding is one of those art forms where, not a lot of people know about skateboarding. Well, I mean, people know about skateboarding, obviously, but like, not too many people know too much about the culture of skateboarding. And if, certain things will help, grow the advancement and the knowledge of people knowing what skateboarding is and what it's about, maybe it wouldn't be looked at in such a bad light. And that's just like my views on it. Like, why gatekeep something when it can, further the advancement? Like, if you think about it, when you're gatekeeping something, you're allowing for less funds to go through. Like, the more people that watch anime, that's more people buying into these websites that, show animes. So you're gatekeeping the developers of anime and the artists that help make animes. You're stopping them from making money off of, these new people that are coming into the, the platform or coming into the culture. Now with skateboarding, it's a little bit different because I can understand from a certain point why people are doing it, because, as skateboarding gets bigger, a lot of companies are starting to charge more for skateboards, and skateboard shoes are becoming more expensive. Like, a pro model skateboard was like $54.99 at Zumiez like a couple months ago, but now TikTok is, popping off with skaters on TikTok and just all over the place. Like, there's people just springing left and right. And now skateboards are like $73 for just the deck. And I'm like, well, that's different, And it's hurting my pockets now because me as a skater of like over 13 years now, I'm suffering because like now I go through boards like every couple weeks, and now having to spend $70 on top of having to pay bills and stuff is just a little bit harsh, on the pockets, especially because it's something I love to do. So I can see how people try to protect things, but I don't think it's right to, try and block someone from doing something they can potentially fall in love with, because skateboarding is a beautiful thing. And I understand like a lot of people will think that like anime is a beautiful thing. Anime is a beautiful thing, but like you have to understand like it's just something. Like I feel like people care too much about certain things to the point where they're just so protective over something that they like, and they feel like no one else can like it because that's just for them. But that's just like a selfish mentality, honestly. And I don't think that's right, man. That's low-key just like kind of shady if you think about it. It's really weird. Gatekeeping is a very strange one, Gatekeeping can be good and it also can be bad in certain senses. As we're approaching the new year and we're getting to the new year, new me time framing, it's January now. It's been a couple weeks in January, and literally go on social media and all you see now is new year, new me. I have all these set goals, and I want to quit doing this, I want to quit doing that. And in my opinion, I feel like that's just a whole bunch of like buffooey, because you can make a change anytime you want to. Like, if you think about how stupid that sounds to wait for a new year to make a change for yourself, I'm sorry if you think this way, but you can make a change any day of the week, any time of the year, like in any month. Like, you don't have to wait for a new year to start going to the gym, or to, pick up a new hobby, or to just start trying to make more money for yourself and just be a better person. Like, I don't think that makes sense, Like, if you really want to make a change, you're going to make it when the time is right. And there is no right time to do anything, really, if you think about it. For anything that goes, I feel like the time is right now. That's just a weird mentality, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about people that want to quit things and addiction. Because addiction is not only just, drugs and, doing bad things. Like addiction can be, you can be addicted to a person, you could be addicted to a certain thing. And like addiction is one of those things where it's a tough situation to be in, because obviously when you think about addiction, you think about people abusing drugs, or the first image in your head would probably be like a bum on the side of the road, or a less fortunate person on the side of the road asking for money, because that's just like the general idea of what an addict looks like. But in all reality, an addict can look like an average person. Like, push come to shove, you look at like Addison Rae or like Charlie D'Amelio, like your favorite like social media influencers can be addicts, and that's just how it is. And most people will be able to hide it a little bit better than most. We've gone through rappers that have been addicted to drugs and will sing about it, and we just blatantly ignore it because they're up there. They don't have anything to worry about. But these people are human, and humans die, and people will die if they become addicted to certain things. And addiction is just like one of those things. If you don't get help, you will fall under. And I don't know. There's a lot of things between. There's like a very broad spectrum of addiction. I feel like it's very broad, but it's also very narrow. Like, if you're addicted to something, you should just try to seek help. Is there a good way to be addicted to something? I feel like being addicted you can be addicted to doing something good, but at the same time, too much of anything is always bad. You know how they say water is good for you? I mean, even if you drink too much water, I actually just looked it up. Drinking too much water can result in intoxication, also known as hyponatremia. I definitely butchered that. But causing the inside of cells to flood due to abnormally low sodium levels in your bloodstream. In severe cases, water intoxication can lead to debilitating health problems such as seizures, coma, and even death. So there's your answer. The water is good for you, but too much water can kill you. Therefore, being addicted to anything, and like I said before, too much of anything can be bad for you. And that's something my mom actually told me a long while ago, and it just always stuck with me because I never really understood it until, you know, later on in life. But addiction's weird, you know. And if you are addicted to something, you should definitely try to seek help and, you know, try to get that sorted out because, you know, for the well-being of yourself and for those who love you, you should definitely try to be better as a person every day. That's like one of those things, you know, it sounds very cliche, but being better every day is just something you should strive for. Maybe not being like Superman. You don't have to be Superman to be better every day, but you know, just taking steps every day to become a better person for you and for those around you, but mostly for you because no one's going to care about you more than you will care about you. And if you feel like you do have a problem with anything, like if you feel like, you know, life isn't the same without this, there's no substance on this earth that you need to have a good time or to feel like you fit in or that, you know, you can't go throughout your day without it, unless it's like something medical, like an inhaler. You know, if you need an inhaler, there's, you know, but like I'm speaking, you know what I'm talking about, but like, you know, if you feel like you need something to have a good time or to fit in with people, like there's definitely telltale signs of addiction. And if you need to look it up, and if you are practicing like using substances and you do use them often, you should definitely look into signs of addiction and, you know, make that change, because I'm tired of seeing like younger people get into things thinking that it's, you know, it's gonna be nice and dandy, it's gonna be sweet and fun, but you only live for so long, and you know these things will take you off this earth without remorse, and there's gonna be just people left with the memory of you, and you don't want that, because that's a bad feeling. It's not a good feeling for people to know that like they could have stopped you but haven't stopped you. And I've just seen so many people like gone off of this earth because of addiction and not having good people around them. So this is my sign, this is your sign to look deeply within and see, okay, well, this is what I'm doing. Is it good for me? Am I doing this at a moderate? Am I doing this with moderation? Because moderation is key. You know, you can use these things. I'm not promoting it. I'd rather you not do it, but I'm doing this, but am I doing it with moderation? Is this at a healthy rate that I'm doing this, you know? That's all I have to say about that, pretty much. You know, it's you know, a lot of people are going through a lot of things and they just feel like they need these things to suppress and or, you know, get them through the day. And I mean, I understand depression and anxiety and stuff like that. It's as a youth, it's becoming more common for people to come to terms with them having anxiety. But at a certain point, you have to think mind over matter. And, you know, obviously I'm not going to downplay anxiety and depression, because I understand it. I understand what anxiety is now. I never really understood it before, but I've met people that have severe cases of it, and I've actually had my own experiences with it. And, you know, right now I'm not in the best mind state, you know, emotionally and, you know, mentally, but like it's all about getting yourself up and going. If you keep yourself moping and, you know, complaining about everything, you're just gonna feel like that's all there is to life. And I'm at that point right now where I've been complaining for like about a week or two now, and it's just when you try to remind yourself of the better things in life, it's weird when you're a teenager because you have a lot of highs and lows, and when you're at those points, you just feel like there's nothing else that can go good to balance this out. And that's just how life is. It's not going to be sunflowers and daisies every day. There's going to be times where you're down, and there's going to be times where you're up and you feel indestructible. And it's just all about knowing that there will be brighter days, and there will be people that do love you. And I feel like a lot of people don't really think about these things. I know personally that right now, in the state that I'm in right now, I don't really think about these things because all I'm hyper focused on is all the bad things that are happening. It's like a domino effect. It's like this bad thing happened, now this is happening, now this is happening, now this person isn't talking to me, now this person is not talking to me, so I have nothing to do. I don't know, it's weird. Like, I'm in a really weird state where I feel like everyone's just so disconnected from me. Like, I feel very far off from a lot of people around me, like in my general circle. And I think that's just like I'm in a weird state, in a weird point in my my age group. Like, I'm 21 now. I just turned 21 last week, and I'm just in a weird point where I feel like I've almost outgrown everyone around me, but not really say I've outgrown them, but I just feel like everyone is doing their own thing, and it's kind of hard to digest knowing that like everyone's gonna be going their own way, and not everyone's chasing the same thing that I am, obviously. So now that I'm realizing that, it's like, well, dang, like, what now? Like, like all my homies, I'm just so used to seeing all my homies all together doing the same thing, but now that everyone's kind of just splitting off and doing their own thing, or not doing anything at all, it's just like, what's next? And I just feel like it's hard for me to just hyper focus on myself, because then I'm forced to face what I am as a human being, and that's a hard thing to do when you're not used to doing that. And it can be tough. It can be kind of hard to just face yourself, but that's the best thing to do, because if you don't face yourself, you're just going to be forced to focus on something that you're not, and you might just become something that you're not. But if you really sit down and focus and see, all right, this is who I am, and this is who I want to be, and really understand yourself and your needs and things that you are passionate about, no one can take that from you. And that's really important. Like I said, I'm saying everything's broad, but it's such a broad spectrum. Like, it's one of those things you can't compare. There's a lot of things you can compare in life, but I feel like stress, anxiety, and depression are just things you cannot compare, because something that you go through might seem like nothing for someone else, and kind of like a dickhead mentality to try to like compare, saying like, oh, this person doesn't have a father, but you grew up without either of your parents, and you grew up in a foster home, but you don't know how that person's dealing with their parent being gone, or what's happening in their household, because people deal with things differently. The way I cope with things is completely different than how other people cope with things, and I've learned to understand that recently, that not everybody copes the same way, and not everyone deals with their problems the same way. And that's one thing you definitely have to understand with people, is that we're all different.